And I think we're finally recording. It's taken me like 6 or 7 tries to get this down. I've had to re-record this like 3 times already. But anyways, if you're watching this and you're tuning in, first I want to say thank you, for caring to kind of follow this sort of documentary series. I'll explain a little bit more about it in a little bit. But for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Arsalan. I am the founder of AK Media, Marble. I'm the CEO, and I have a bunch of other things that I'm part of, slash starting, slash in the works on, which I'll kind of touch on more here. But the purpose of this sort of whole video series that I'm going to be doing is really just to keep sort of track on where I am. Am I, where my thoughts are, because it has been a while since I've sort of publicly or even just openly expressed how I'm feeling on a weekly or a regular basis. And there was a long time where YouTube was a big part of my life in terms of consistently uploading, etc. And I do miss a good portion of that, of sharing where the businesses are, sharing where my companies are, what we're doing, how we're growing, what I'm feeling as we're doing it. And I just want to get back into that habit. Plus, it's always great to document, not only for myself, for my own memory, but for the people watching. Because, I mean, I'm hoping more often than not, you'll take some of the stuff that I will be talking about and use it to avoid some of the mistakes that maybe I have made. And then hopefully that makes a positive impact on your guys' side. But yeah, there's no set plan for this video right now. It's very unscripted. I just have a few notes on the right here of the things that have happened over the last sort of 7 days, 10 days, and the things that I really want to discuss. Oh, hit my mic there. But yeah, I'll just sort of dive into it from there. So for those of you who don't know what I do, I own a marketing company slash growth company for e-commerce businesses called AKA Media. I also have my own e-commerce brand here based in the GCC countries called Marble, which is a women's and men's fashion line, all to do with sustainable and recycled fabrics. And I'm currently getting into private equity funding and raising funds, and also becoming part of a fund, maybe potentially, which I'll touch on. So the way I'll sort of structure these as I do them, either weekly or bi-weekly, I'll see, and I've yet to decide if I feel like weekly isn't that productive because there's not too much change within a week. Then bi-weekly will probably be my go-to. So maybe at least 2 videos a month on this. Things that have happened this week. So main things, scaling up the ecom brands right now. There's been a big change that I've decided to make over the last sort of, I would say, 10 days or so. I basically came to the conclusion that with all of the time that I'm currently putting into the growth, into the agency, the growth company, the private equity fund side of things, I just don't have the time that I would like to have to dedicate and have the bandwidth for to really grow the the brand side. And I just want to be 100% honest with that. We are doing really well in terms of numbers, especially now with Ramadan in the GCC countries. For those who don't know, the Gulf countries, Ramadan is basically like Black Friday for a whole month. So sales go, I mean, revenue does like a 2.5 to a 3, sometimes even 4x, I've seen. Um, but the main thing and my main point here is I've made a new exec hire basically. I've also told my partner I need to take more of the responsibilities that I was in charge for, and to compensate them for that. And then also just getting an exec hire on board that can really lead the company in the ways that I would have done if I had the time to, and then just making sure that that is accounted for and managed properly, because it just wasn't being managed to the degree that I would want it to, the quality or standard that I would want it to. And I just knew it was time to stop making excuses and just sort of let go of that part and control to grow the company. And I've already seen amazing changes from it. So I'm very excited for that new hire to give more responsibility away as well. And I think it's going in the right direction. I'm also looking to hire my first ever executive assistant. So if anybody is based in Dubai or knows people based in Dubai with experience and like real experience, 4 or 5 years of experience being an EA, I would be very interested to speak to them or be in touch with you if you're the person watching, because it's gotten to that point where my life has become so busy that I genuinely and generally need someone to manage that aspect for me. I just don't have the time. Like there's no other way I can really put it. I frankly just really, really, really don't have the time to do it anymore. And I don't want that to be like a recurring trend, because it gets in the way of me sort of expanding, evolving, adapting, and I get stuck of being busy because I'm busy rather than I'm busy because I'm focusing on only and purely on the things that move the needle forward. And that is a very hard thing to do. I think I broke that cycle a long time ago, but then just recently with the growth of the agency, the growth of the ecom brand, the growth of just getting into the private equity funding space as well, that has been super interesting and super fascinating to learn about. I just don't have the bandwidth, and I need someone to help me run my life essentially. So if you guys know anybody, let me know. And also, I'm curious to see what your tips are for anyone that has hired an EA in the past, and maybe good practices on hiring and firing, testing, etc. Because I do understand that this is going to be a very big role to hire for someone that I will need to trust with pretty much everything. And yeah, I'm excited for that new chapter, exploring that sort of scene with that new hire. What else? Just recently got back from the Maldives. I took a very, very spontaneous weekend away last Thursday. I just decided to book a flight with my girlfriend for the following day on Friday, and then just disappeared to the Maldives until Sunday. Some scuba diving, some paddleboarding, just enjoying the sun, looking at the night sky, because the night sky there is just so, so, so beautiful. Barely any light pollution, just pure stars all above, and you just have a very great, it has a very great relaxing energy, which I really appreciate about the Maldives. So it was a nice little weekend, spontaneous trip away. I felt very blessed to be able to do that. In terms of the agency, I'm really happy with the growth and the steady sort of stable growth that we're having at AKM Media. Now, we're definitely restructuring a lot this month, and I'm really excited for the growth because this is probably the first time in the last 2.5 years that we have had a major system operational restructuring come into place, just because the company now needs it to unlock its potential for like to get to basically 1.5 million a month, for example. Not even for example, that is the goal. With the current systems that we're now putting into place. So there's a lot of new hires happening, a lot of restructurings happening, a lot of SOPs being rewritten, a lot of the way that we operate as a company with our clients internally, how we operate on like a workload basis, how we avoid mistakes, how we make sure that everyone is operational and just staying efficient. Like a lot of that is being restructured right now, and I'm very, very much so excited. So hopefully, I mean, that's one of the goals on the next 30 days. I want to see a lot of that actualized, which I know it will be. My COO and CMO are working very hard to do so. And yeah, I'm very excited about the agency. And just to give you more context, like the agency sort of pivoted. I wouldn't even say we're an agency anymore. We're more so growth partners, just because. Okay, I think I cut out there. I just got a new webcam and it has these like hand gesture controls, so I wasn't too sure if it was picking up anything that I was saying in the last like 20 seconds or so. But I'm gonna continue my points anyways. So yeah, with the agency, like we wouldn't even wouldn't say we're even an agency anymore. We mainly focus on brands that are like above the 5 million in annual revenue, especially with e-commerce, and they've usually hit a point where just paid advertising or just hammering one or two channels just doesn't do it for them anymore, because they hit a point where their spend to CAC ratio doesn't make sense for that business. And then that's when you really have to oversee the business from a much higher standpoint and looking at all the levers that they have in terms of retention, in terms of their costs, their financial, their COGS, their every aspect of the business that contributes and works together in unison. You have to be super conscious of that and how each lever impacts one another. So for example, like organic decreases your overall percentage of weighted CAC. If your weighted CAC decreases, you can bid for higher CPAs on paid acquisition. If you can do that, you can scale more. So that's just one example. But like we're basically in the realm of, we work with brands in that area to help them get to that next level of that 40 to 50 million a year in annualized revenue. And that's where we are. That's where we're at. So I'm really excited to just be doing all the changes and restructuring for it, because I'm so excited at the path that myself, the team are on, and it's just been very rewarding over the last sort of 6 months to see that growth. We have a new agency hire, and we're training a few new employees as well right now, which is pretty exciting. And we've got some new SOPs in place for that too, and I'm just very interested to see the sort of yield that will generate. Just because we have a very, very efficient system on training employees from zero to hero within 2 months now, which I'm very impressed by, and we've done it successfully with 3 people so far, and that's been like just a game changer, because you no longer have to go to these like recruitment agencies that charge ridiculous fees just to hire someone who's decent that you still have to train anyways, or even the people that are really, the people that think they're really good on paper, even those guys when they come in, like we still have to train them. So yeah, that's been super interesting. Other than that, I've been looking into the realm of potentially actually selling 20% of the agency to a private equity fund in order to unlock all of the companies that are within that fund as our clients. So that would, in turn, sort of help AKM Media already, but then also to own a stake of all of those companies in there, and it's like a pot of around 200 million. So to own 3 to 5% of that as an entity would be an amazing, amazing place. And I'm considering doing that right now. So we'll see what happens. But I've just been also learning about the whole world of private equity, raising money, investing money, how it works, how to leverage this, how to leverage that, how to give investors more confidence, what they want to see, what they don't want to see, what they believe in, what they don't believe in. How do you explain to them based on the market conditions right now, what makes more sense? How do you leverage valuations? Where do valuations even come from? Like all of this stuff has been super, super fascinating to learn about over the last sort of 30 to 60 days. And I was in Sydney at the start of this month in March the 1st. And I was basically there talking to to see a billionaire that's an investor of one of our clients, and to ask more about that realm of investing. And then that's where this whole deal sort of sprung up. And then I'm looking into other ways of how I can make it work. But regardless, I'm starting my own private equity fund. Should I say I've started my own private equity fund already. Um, but it's just a matter of, who do you bring on, which projects do you start investing in now to actualize that capital. Because a big portion of like starting that company as well, or starting that idea of why I even got into that realm of private equity funding, is with the agency and sort of with the clients that we've worked with. A lot of them we work with for, like, our LTV is like an average of 18, 19 months. So we would work with these brands for a year and a half, usually year and a half, 2 years, 3 years. In the time, we've also helped brands exit, and they pay us good amounts, etc. We scale them, everyone's happy, etc. Then they exit, and our job's done, and that's great. But what about the brands that we know will grow anyways, and we're going to work with them regardless and do exactly the same processes? What about we own those brands at the start of that journey, and we own 20%, we own 40%, maybe we even buy them outright, and then we do exactly what we would have done regardless to get to that point of exit, and then everybody enjoys the pie. Plus, we get a much bigger piece of that exit sort of valuation. So that's sort of where it came from, and I think it just stems from reading a lot over the last year, 18 months or so, in terms of valuation, how to build wealth 101, how do you replicate wealth, how do you maintain it, how do you grow it, and actualization of valuations and then exiting seems to be the direction that I have my eyes set on. So that, plus other investments I've made and other things I have planned, I'm pretty optimistic about it. So we'll see where it leads. And then on a personal level, moving my parents out to Dubai. So that's super exciting. I've been working towards that over the last sort of 6 months or so now. It's got to a point where I realized that I just didn't see them enough, and I'm very close with my mom and dad, I would say. Um, and they mean a lot to me in my life for sure. And then moving out to Dubai 2.5 years ago kind of made me realize that I only see them when I see them. And my mom I see more so often than my dad. I fly her out maybe every 4 to 6 weeks or so. But my dad, I maybe like 6 months go by and I see him only for like a week or 2 weeks, or 7, 8 months go by and I've only seen him for like 2, 3 weeks in a year. And 2.5 years went like this, from personal side, business side, social side, finances side, business growth, everything. Like it just exploded. And time went by like that. And I look at it, I'm like, it went by like that, and I don't even remember like spending a day with my dad or with my parents or any of those things. And you kind of like extrapolate that over the next 10 years or the 20 years, and you realize that you don't really have a lot of tangible, usable time left. And I don't want to be one of those guys that sees his family like once a year for a week or two, because I think there's a lot more to life that you can experience together in this material world. And I think whilst you have the opportunity, you shouldn't waste it. So very excited to move them here, and they'll be moving here on Sunday in 3 days' time, and I'm very excited for that movement. So yeah, a lot of stuff planned. Pretty much, I'm gonna sort of recap. I'm gonna sort of like start wrapping up this video here. I don't really know what else to touch on more so, but personal goals will just be, and for the month of April, I just really want to get all of these new systems ready within AK Media. continue growing the company, continue growing the econ brand model, because Ramadan, as I said, and sales go through the roof. And I just want to see all that actualized and go according to plan, as we've done so and prepared for over the last sort of 4 or 5 months, which I'm very excited for. And yeah, that's where I'm at. If you enjoy this video, I appreciate you guys taking the time. If you have feedback or if you have things that you want me to touch on more on, in regarding to the businesses or what I share, please do let me know in the comments. I'm more than open to it. And yeah, that's it for me. Appreciate you guys taking the time, and I'll try to do these as regularly as possible. As I said, either weekly or bi-weekly. I think it's actually been quite therapeutic to go through my notes and just sort of share it out loud. And yeah, all the best. See you in the next one.